Well, hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my review of Jurassic World Evolution. So if you missed it, I did an overview of this a couple of weeks ago. I installed it on a whim. I had already played a chunk of it when it came out, and I have a lot of kind of nostalgia built into this game, being that, if you're not across it, it's the spiritual successor to Operation Genesis, which came out on the original Xbox, I believe, and that was a banger. That was absolute primo gold standard of how to do what is essentially a genre reserved for the keyboard and mouse gang on PC, colony builders, RTSs, all that. And Operation Genesis was a fantastic example of how to consoleify everything from the UI through to the gameplay mechanics. Now this has carried over a lot of the core, a lot of the soul, and what makes it great. There's a sequel to this as well, which I've barely played, and that has middling reception. One of the sentiments I seem to hear a lot is that people like this one more. I'll get around to playing the second one. I've looked at it, I featured it briefly, I have it, but I'm not quite done with this. I'm definitely in the end game. You know, at this point, it would just be about cleaning up achievements, like try and get hang time in your Jeep off a ramp, like silly filler stuff. However, there is challenge mode. That could really absorb me. But at the end of the day, I've put 61 hours into this according to Steam. 2/3 of it would have been part of this review cycle. So safe to say I have exhausted a lot of it and I have enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to jumping back into the DLC, which I picked up on sale as part of the Steam summer sale. It still cost me a bit because there was a lot of DLC. Some of it's skins, some of them are like mini campaign, self-contained things. I haven't touched or really investigated any of it. I just bought it sight unseen because I enjoyed this so much and I want to see what that's about. So I thought, let's do this video first, and then I'll touch base with the DLCs along the way. So yeah, I guess it's a review. I'm still playing with the idea of, reviews in general. I don't like being called a reviewer. I find reviewers, people who are critical as a profession of video games, a toy for an adult. I just find that whole thing pretentious. It's the whole reason I did reviews in the first place, because I'm just a dickhead who plays video games. And hello, fellow dickhead. My hope is this discussion is of value to you, and maybe you reinstall this or you go and buy it yourself. And what could one ask for beyond that? So yeah, safe to say, worth your time, worth your money. I won't be too exhaustive. I covered a fair bit in the overview, and I don't really want this to turn into a huge treatise other than to share my thoughts. I think fundamentally, the magic of this game and its predecessor, Operation Genesis, it's got a lot of that. Like they've kind of respected the roots very well. They've added their own flavor and modernized it and done really great stuff with it. But the core loop is that it does this weird, I would call almost a hybridization of the principles of Metroidvanias implemented into what is essentially a colony management game. And when I say Metroidvanias, I also put things like Resident Evil survival horror into that umbrella. This idea that you move through an area, right? And there will be parts you can't access, whether it's you need a double jump to get up onto that ledge, or maybe in the Resident Evil example, you need a diamond key to open a door. So you triage that, you put it in your mind or your map or whatever, and then you move onto another area, and then at some point you'll unlock your double jump or your diamond key, and then you'll come back and open it up. And it's a very clever way of doing backtracking, but not as a filler fluff thing. It enriches the experience, it makes you more familiar. And this game kind of does that exact same mechanic, and you see it copied and used in, well, Planet Zoo's a good example, who is also the same dev of this. That makes sense. Arguably, Planet Zoo's much bigger than this, more complex. I should play more of it. I barely scratched it. But even things that come to mind are like 2 Point Hospital and 2 Point Campus. They do the same thing. And what I'm getting at, I'm not trying to put it off, I waffle a little, is the idea that you'll start on level 1, right? In this case, it's just an island. And the game says, get your star rating up to, 5 stars. And it's a bit of a task, to be honest. We'll talk about it a little bit, but essentially you want to increase the star rating of your island. You're not going to get to 5 stars. This is the diamond door, the double jump. You're probably going to get to 3 stars, and at that point, that will unlock the next island. The reason you're not going to get to 5 stars is multi-layered, but ultimately you're trying to level up a balance of facilities and amenities for island visitors, tourists who give you money and income. And also like dinosaur well-being, the quality of their genome, any modifications, the variation of dinosaurs, how exotic that sort of thing is. And so like these stepping stones, and a lot of them will be denied to you in the beginning because you just haven't got the tech, you haven't unlocked it through progress. So you do the best with what you've got. You've got some little boring, anemic, vegan dinosaurs that no one really wants to look at. So you get up to 3 stars, unlocks the next island, you go to there, and then that island will have some unique something, right? It might be the shape, like it's a bit difficult to work with. Some of them have like, hurricanes and really bad weather conditions that quite often rip through your base and smash the fences and let all the raptors out, and then they go eat your people, and that's not really good because you have to pay for lawsuits. But then like there's another one where the premium on paying for power on the island is higher, but they have their own gimmick. It doesn't really interfere with the loop, but the point is it's escalating difficulty. And then once you get to those islands, you'll have access to more tech trees, more dig sites, more exotic dinosaurs, T-Rexes, things like that. Then you can unlock them, and then you go back to previous islands and you start putting T-Rexes on those islands. And then you get your star rating up to 4 stars, and then that unlocks something else. Maybe a new bloody medicine to protect your dudes from the common cold or whatever, because your dinosaurs can get sick and you have to look after them. So this back and forth, this Metroidvaniaization of this genre, I hope I've explained it well, is the meat and potatoes of what makes this game absolute magic. And you do this over the course of like 5 or 6 islands. And the sort of big finale island is the fan service island. It's like the one from the original movies. It actually has uncapped money. However, you can't earn money or do research while you're there. So it's very much creative mode. However, it is still bound by objectives, which is great. So for anyone that has been around the channel any amount of time, I kind of despise sandbox, creative, no clip fly, cheap type modes. Because to me, that's just a tool suite. That's painting with paints on a canvas. And that's cool if you're a creative person. I'm not. I'm an objective person. I need to work. And the cool thing about this sort of creative, unlimited super island, and it's very big, and you can, like I said, you can just place down stuff willy-nilly, no cost. You still have to turn it into a 5-star park. And the requirements, for dinosaur variety and all that sort of stuff are like the highest in the game. So it is very much a bit of a Zen garden that you chip away at. You can't be flippant. You've got to lock your T-Rexes up or they'll eat people, and then you'll get penalties for that. But that's sort of the Everest, the tippy top. It's to get 5-star on that island. And that's where you go when you've unlocked all your stuff. It's so clever. It's very, very good. And then when I thought I was sort of getting through with the game, there's so much I could talk about, but I don't want these videos to blow out and just become, masturbatory. So I'll leave you with this thought, but there's scope for follow-up videos. I've talked about the idea of doing a video for every 14 hours that I put into a game. I've already got a video covering this, but long and short of it is, on average, most games over the last 10 years take about 14 hours to clock. So I'll render a review at 14 hours. This is a bit of an exception because I'd already started playing it. Then every 14 hours after that, maybe I'll just do a, thoughts video, an extended overview. I figure if something can hold you for 14 hours, you should probably have some thoughts. But my sort of closing thought was, I discovered this thing called challenge mode at the main menu. Now, I'm not usually interested in extra scenarios or multiplayer mode, tacked on crap. Maybe it's because I'm a child of that time period where every single player game had to have some dodgy shit COD adjacent multiplayer, like Dead Space friggin' deathmatch, just crap no one wanted that was getting thrown into every single game. So I'm usually skeptical of just extra stuff. But the challenge mode in this is, oh mate, it's chef's kiss. It puts you on one island, it resets you back to the beginning. You can put it so it shuffles up what order and where the dig sites are so there's a sort of almost like a seeded permutative run-based component to it. In fact, there's par times and difficulties, and we're talking some of the par times are like 12 hours. Like, this is not a small mode, but essentially it's a challenge-based build your park on one island sort of setup. But the real magic, this game already has magical gameplay ideas, but the magic in this is the Hammond Tax. I can't remember what it's called, but it's this levy tax that is set, and as your rate of income goes up, it also will go up, but it will never go down. So if you fuck up and visitors get eaten and then you have to pay expenses for medical bills, bloody raptor ate my baby, the game doesn't care, and you can potentially brick it. And so the way it works out is it's massaged between difficulties, but even at the normal difficulty, it is still quite tricky trying to get ahead. The game doesn't really want to let you get ahead, won't let you run with a huge profit, which arguably is one of the short sides of the main campaign, is that once you do build up steam, all of a sudden you got millions and millions. But the challenge mode is great because that's exactly what it is. It's a challenge every step of the way, and it's one of those things that you can just keep doing it on a different island at a different difficulty, and there are dozens and dozens of replayable hours there. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, such is my review of Jurassic World Evolution. A bit of a discussion about what I found interesting. I loved it. It held me for, 60 plus hours. I'm going to have a look at the expansions. I'm not sure if I'll really do like an overview for them because it's not exactly like they're new. Maybe I'll just check in at the next multiple of 14 hours from, I guess that'd be 70, right? Maybe I'll put another 10 hours into it and I'll do another video just updating where we're at. But yeah, check it out. Pick it up. Maybe reinstall it if you haven't played it in a while. Great game. Anyway, team, might just leave it there for the time being. I'll catch you guys on the next one.